I'll give you my copy to start with, and then you can continue from there. So you should be penalized for. You should have to start all over because you didn't have a backup. But we'll be a little nice to you. I'm going to go to my access. Do you have a jump drive?
I need no jump drive.
I'm proposing that at registration day, you all should get a jump drive, an Emmaus jump drive, and then you can at least say we could at least say we gave you one. But let me get my access. Where is my access? I think I have it open somewhere here. Where is it? There it is. Here it is. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a file, save as. And I'm going to save it over to my, I have to pull down this here. I'm going to save it, do a save as, making me close all my tables, save my changes, customer table that we imported. I'm going to save this over in my cs101. I'm going to call it AC, why do I have AC11? I'm going to call it AC1. You know what? I'll just put Esther's last name in it. How about that? Can I spell it right? N-G-A-N-G-A. All right, I'm going to save that. And I'm going to call that Manning's Backup. And have you create a table and write 1,000 times, I will back up my files. We're going to have Esther write that on the board 1,000 times. I will back up my files. No, we're not going to pick on Esther too much. Going to give you a little hard time for not having that backup. Okay, so I saved it, and now I'm going to upload it to eLearn for you. Or how about it, I'll just email it to you. Let's see here. I'm going to compose an email to Esther. There you are, in your Emmaus email. And I'm going to attach this database. And let's browse over to that. cs101, Spring 16. Where did it go? There it is. Oh, I have found sometimes when I'm trying to use the file, if I have it open, sometimes attachments don't work. So I'm going to close access as I attach this to an email. And then I'm going to put in a message, remember to back up your files. Okay, Esther, go check your email, download that, and you'll be able to catch up with that as I review a few things having to do with databases. And then we'll go on to completing that AC1. Okay, present. I made a Google presentation instead of using PowerPoint because I edit these things from all over the place, and being able to edit it in a browser is a little more convenient for me. Okay, database objects. Here is our plan. Database objects. What are the fundamental objects in a database? Tables! Yes. Tables keep our data safe. They hold our data. They require the data to be in special formats. That's why at the very start we went through each field and said, is it a short text? Is it a number? If it's a number, what kind of number it is? Is it a long or a integer? How long can it be? So the reason that's so important is that data that's in our table must not be corrupt. We only want numbers where there are supposed to be numbers, and when we want like names of states, we don't want to have that accidentally be 3 letters. And we create different tables. We don't throw all the data into one table because we don't want redundancy, which is repeating of data. We want to have the reference like the name of the customer representative for every customer. We want that name of that person to be in a separate table. We'll refer to the number of the customer rep in a thing we call a key. Think of keys. There's primary keys, that's the key for the records in the table you're in. There's the reference to another table, and the database nerds call those foreign keys. They relate the two tables. Our customer records, they point or they relate to a customer representative. In the customer table, they are related to by a number. In the customer rep table, do we have a reference to the customers? Do we have a foreign key to the customers in the customer rep table? Is this a one-way relationship, or does the customer rep have a list of all his customers? Take a look at your customer rep table. Is there a field for my customer number?
There's a book rep.
That's in the customer table, right? Their book rep. Well, the book rep has his number, their number, but they don't refer to their customers because the book rep has multiple customers, and you're not going to keep 50 fields for one field for every one of his customer. You can think of it kind of as a one-way relationship. The customer records refer to their customer rep, but you don't have a link to the customer numbers in the customer rep table. You find out who the customer reps are, or who the customers are for a particular customer rep by doing a query of the data. We have the data in proper fields because we don't want corruption. We want to have, again, numbers where there are supposed to be numbers, proper number of letters, and that's called data validation. We will get to in our next project. Queries are special objects that we're going to create in databases. They are for asking questions about the data, and they get answers. They get a list, or what's called a data set of the list of data matching the criteria in the query. And we're going to do a couple queries real quick just as part of this first one, just to get you familiar with the terms. For example, get a list of all the customers for Mr. Customer Rep named Sam. I don't even know if we have a customer rep named Sam. That may be another query. But suppose we did have a customer rep named Sam. I would need to know what his number is in order to find out all the customers that go with him, because the only thing the customer knows about is their customer rep number. So the query would be a two-step thing. It'd be finding out what is the customer rep number for a rep named Sam. And then in the query would be, show me all the customers where their customer rep number is whatever Sam's number is. If I wanted to list all customers in Pennsylvania, since it doesn't have anything to do with the customer rep table, I don't need to worry about the customer or the book rep table. It's where is their city, or sorry, their state equal to PA, for the PA code for Pennsylvania. Display a mailing list of all customers in an area code 563. So that would be a little more complex. Does it have 563 as the first three digits in their phone number? Then display their name. So what we covered: tables, queries, and another type of object called a form. A form is just a friendly way of looking at the data in your tables. User-friendly browsing through the data. And you can create a table with 3 clicks. Let me show you how easy it is to create a table. I'll go bring up my Access. Oh, I had closed it because I was uploading it. Let me go get Access to open that file that I just had. Start up my Access. Open Recent. Here's how easy it is to create a form. I click on the table of which I want a form. Click on the table, click on the Create tab, and click the Easy Form Creator. And boom, I have a form that shows me one by one the records in that table. And I can use the little arrow keys at the bottom to go from different form. different records in that table. There are more complex ways of doing this, of creating a form and designing it, but in this introduction to databases, we don't make you do a lot of designing of the form. We choose what goes in the form, and that can be done with a little more complex things called the form design and the report design, or they call that the wizard. But we're not going to use that for now. We're just going to do the 3-click. Customer, I want a form about the customer. I click on the customer table. The Create tab is already open, so this time it only takes 2 clicks, and then I click Form to create a form for browsing through my customer table. And the little arrows are my navigation arrows. Back and forth, to the beginning, to the end to actually add another form. Now, when you're actually looking at the data, and I'm trying to close this form, it's not letting me close it. And I'm not going to save changes for now. I can always just look at the data sheet view itself. I can just double click the table. I can edit the information in the table that way, but this is not quite as user friendly. But you may find with your fine Excel skills that it looks a lot like an Excel table. It's easy enough to edit the data through there, but just imagine someone in a very complex table trying to figure out what to edit. This can be rather confusing. So you can always use a form to make it a little more user-friendly. And because I adjusted the column, it's going to say, do you want to save changes? I say yes. So 3 clicks. You choose the table you want to create a form with. 4, you click the Create tab if it's not already there, and click Form, and you have a form for the table. So those are 3: tables, queries, forms, and one last object called the report. 3 clicks for the report. Select the table, click the Create tab, and click the report. And let's see what that looks like. The customer table, create, report, and I have a lovely, nicely formatted with a title and date across the top, all done for me, of all the information in that table. Now it's going over multiple pages, so I could go to Design View or Layout View and adjust my column widths to make it all fit on one worksheet. So I can adjust the view of this report just by adjusting my columns, clicking one column at a time in Layout View, and get it all to fit on one sheet after doing enough adjustments here. So this is a nice way of creating a printable report that looks pretty professional. And I almost got it to all fit on one page, but I can adjust my columns. Let's see how many more columns. There's a couple more that I could almost, let's see if I can make this fit on one page. Adjust my numbers just a little bit. Come back here. And I'm almost fitting it on one page. Doing a little wrapping there. And if I squeeze a little more, I could probably change the font a little more. I can almost get to fit on one page, where that dotted line shows me where my page boundaries would be. So designing the report, but first I just start the report by just clicking on the table and then make a report for it. And to print it out, Control P will let me print this out. And if I'm happy to let the names wrap a little bit, or the address wrap in the cell, I can get it to fit at least one page wide. And if I go down, I see, oh, looks like I got it to fit on one page. So that's the reports. And all they do is provide a nice view of the particular data. I can do a report of the output of a query too, which can be very handy. And I can build nice reports. Okay, so that's a quick review. Let's go ahead and finish up AC1. And I'm going to look in the book here and what they want me to do. Bring up the page over here. If we want to resize anything or create adjustments to the data in the table, I can do that. and then they talk about these objects. So what we're going to do now is go into details of how to create a simple query. So I select, and the query is going to be on information in the customer table. So I select the customer table, and we're going to use the query wizard, although I don't like the wizard because I like the other one. I'm going to close this report. I'm going to go ahead and save changes to this one for now, and I'll call it customer table 1 report. But I have the customer table selected, and I choose the create, and this time I'm going to use the query wizard. That's this guy here with the little wand. We're going to do a simple query wizard. We're going to have it show us information about our table in a specific and getting specific pieces of information. So we want all the information except their address. We want their number, name, amount paid, current due, and their returns and their book rep number. So I start the wizard. I'm doing simple query wizard. I select the fields that I want to get information out of the table for. I could select them all using the double arrow and then bring back the street, city, states, or I could start over, and the book has us select everything except in this order: customer number, name, amount paid, current due. So double click customer number, customer name, skip down to amount paid, current due, returns, double click, and book rep number. The order that you place them will be the order that they will be listed in the columns in the query. So the order does make a difference. You able to get that far? Okay. Then once I have everything selected, then I click next, and I want to see details. So click next. I'm going to show every field of every record. And I think the next thing is just to give it the name of the query. So I go next. And customer table query, I think we're happy with that. Oh, they wanted to make that customer query. And click finish. And it will open the query to view the information. I can always go back and adjust anything to check what I'm doing. But once I click finish, I can't redo what I've done. I can start over. So once I click finish, now I have the query showing me all the information in the table. Notice I don't have the name or the street, city, state. I just have the fields that I requested when I ran through the query wizard. And there's the information. Now suppose I want something else here. Suppose I want to have some criteria in my query. We're going to now create a query using, I think we're going to use the designer. Yeah, we're going to use the designer. This is a little more complicated. Let me show how this works. We're going to do the same query. We're going to see their name, their number, name, amount paid, current due, returns, and book rep number. We're going to create that starting with the design view of it. So I'm going to close this one, and now I'm going to start a new one. This time, though, using the query designer. Now it's not as easy. So here's how we go. Query design. And the first thing it says is, what do you want the information from? We want information just from the customer table. So I click customer table, and then I click add or just double click it, and it shows up in the desktop for the query designer. Then I can close the show table dialog. I can drag this and stretch it open a little bit here. Come on. Let me grab that. There we go. I see all the information in there. And then there's this list down here of the fields that are going to be shown in this query. What I do to get these fields to show up, I just double click up here in the table, to get it to pop up in a column below. Customer number, double click, customer name, skip down to amount paid, current due, returns, and book rep number. Now, so far, this is exactly what I got when I ran the query wizard. So no advantage yet to using the designer. Now that we're in the designer, we can add a criteria. And let's see what criteria they add for information. We're looking for book rep number criteria 53. So far, and I can always go datasheet view of this to see if there's anything that shows up. There's the information, just like I had before. Go back to design view by clicking here again, or click there. And now I can add a criteria. See this little criteria row underneath each field? If I just put 53 here, what that means is show me or query for me information from the customer table, all these fields, but where the criteria is, this field is equal to 53. Now when I look at the data as the result of this, I see that I have only the data shown where that book rep number is 53. So this is the power of Access coming out, where I have millions of customers, but I can say to Access, show me just the information for customers where this criteria is satisfied, where the book rep number is 53. To see the results, just go back to here and I see. Now what if I put 99 here and I view it? I get no results. That doesn't mean my query is wrong. What it means is there's no data in the table that matches that criteria. Because if I take away the criteria and view all the data, I see that my only book rep numbers are 42, 53, 65. Go back to design view, change that to book rep number 53, run it to see that, yes, I get the data matching that criteria. And we're going to save this query, I believe. Let's see what name we're giving it. Oh, they tell you no. I want to see that you've done the work. So go ahead and save this, Control S, and call it, what page are we on in the book? Let's go by the page of the book, AC45. Let's just call it AC45 for the query name. So as you work for these queries, some of the next assignment will have multiple queries. We'll cover some of them in class. But if you work on them yourself through the book, just give it, when you come to that page, just give your query the same name as the page you're on when it asks for different queries. But we're going to be doing a lot more queries in the AC project too. But for this one, we're just creating a few queries just to get familiar with queries. And I can close the query. Anytime I want to see that information again, I can just go back to my navigation over here, and I can always double click and get that information back. And I can always go back to design view and see how that query was created. And I can close it. That query is just showing the information for book reps that are number 53. I can always print the query results. And now they show us how we create a form. They do the 3-click method on the customer table. And I'll get a form like that. Go ahead and do that now. Click your customer table, create tab, form. In the 3-click method, you have a form created for the customers. A user-friendly way of viewing the information about our customers. It's a fairly simple designer, so it makes a huge text field for the state. For some reason, it makes the smallest value have the largest text field. But that's what the form creator does. And we're going to save this as customer form. So Control S and call it customer form instead of customer table.
I'm clicking form, but it's not doing anything this time.
Do you have a table selected?
I do.
Is the form already there? Let me close this form. Let's try this. If I have the table, customer table, create, form, should pop up that. Maybe close your tables. Sometimes I've seen Access not behaving nicely while the tables are open. Oh, I started a creation. I'm going to cancel. No, I don't want to save changes to that one, since I've already made the customer form. So close your tables, and then select a table, create, form. Yeah. No form shows up?
No. Man.
Let's take a look here. Looks like you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I remember that clip. And I'm like,
Oh, form is great. And you click on it, nothing happens. Let's go ahead and open our customer table. Screen's there. Close it. How about right click on customer? What do we have here? There we go. Try the form design. There. Okay, so that does bring up form design. Close that. You don't need to do anything there. Close it. Don't save changes. And go back to create form. Nothing happens. I guess for this one, I would do a save and close access and reopen it. Just see if that does it. That's the only time I'll see access when it does weird things. The first thing I'll do, after making sure I'm not doing anything crazy, is I'll just close access. I can't explain that. I would say that looks like maybe a bug somewhere in access. All right, so they talk about using the form, how it can be a friendly way, and then we're going to create a report. Remember how we do the report? Select the table, and this time we just want again, a report of all our customers. Customer table, create, report. The 3-click method for creating a customer report. And there it is. And I'm going to do a Control S to save it as customer report. And I've got lots of reports in there. I can get rid of these other ones by right-clicking, deleting. Because I don't want too many things hanging around there. I can do lots of practice things, but clean up the ones that you don't want in there. And I think with this, we can do some modifications to our report. There it has the customer. We can edit that. We can adjust our column widths. And we can delete columns. One more thing we can do to the report, we can actually add a total to the bottom underneath the totals of their amount due. So let's go to the customer report, and over here under the design tab, we have totals, and let's see here, we are going to select the column we want a total of. The amount paid. So I select in the amount paid column, select that column, and then go to my totals, and I want to show, I believe, is it the average or the sum? Yeah, we want to sum the totals of amount paid. So I have them in my report, select the column amount paid, and choose totals, sum. And I won't see the result until I go down to the bottom. I will see now it's adding up my amount paid for me. And I'm going to do some adjustments here like I did before. I'm going to adjust the width of this column. And I think in the book we actually deleted a few columns. Yeah, it looks like we're getting rid of their everything having to do with their address. We just want to see the numbers. Yep. So let's go ahead and do what they did in the book. Let's go ahead and delete this column. Let's see how hard that is. Delete column. Look at that. City, delete column. State, delete column. Postal code, delete column. Now I get things that fit on one page. I can adjust my column widths. And then I get totals as well. Yes, sir?
We're in the report. How do we select? Like, I select not paid, but I can't select the total button. Like right now.
Select just the top of it. See what happens.
Oh, there you go. Okay. And then what do we do? Just sum?
Yeah, we just want the sum of amount paid.
Okay.
And you can right-click on any other column to get rid of it. So we don't need the address information. We just want the customer number. I'm going to adjust the columns a little bit. Again, so it fits on one page in the printout. To see what it's going to look like in the printout, I can always go up here to Print Preview.
Seems like mine automatically created a sum for return. Should I delete that?
No, that's right.
Oh, the book.
Yep. And since my number is kind of being cut off there, I think I can adjust the width of that, or the height of that row, just by grabbing the bottom of that. There we go. Now I can see the full number. For some reason, the box was too small for that number. So remember what I did. I selected the column that I wanted to do the sum of, and I went to totals. I can choose multiple things there. The sum, average, how many are there, actually have a value in them.
Not letting me select the columns.
Just right-click in the amount paid title. Oh, you need to go to layout. Oh, you are in layout view. Why is it not doing that? Interesting. Let's see. Different. I'm in layout view. Make sure you go to layout view. Make sure you're in layout view. I think you're not in layout view. There you go.
Now just like that.
There we go. And then view. Yeah. In the report, the layout view versus the print view, and you can tell what view you're in by up here. If you do the down arrow, you'll see the one highlighted is the view you're in. See how it has a little red box around it? So if it shows something else, like if it's showing layout view up there, that means clicking this will take me to that different view.
And what columns did you delete?
I deleted all the address columns, address, city, state, zip, just so I only see their name and their financial information. I could always put that in a different report. And I think at this point, let's see, we're not going to worry about printing a report. Looking at the properties of the database, let's see what properties they have us look at. Remember how we could look at the info and the metadata of the database? I can look at my database properties, and I can actually set my company or comments about that particular database. And I don't think they have us actually do anything. They just show, let's see what they had. Yeah, they just say how you can do it. I don't think they have us make any specific changes. And I think with that one, we're just about done. Remember how you can do, just like in Word or Excel, we can always do a save database as. I can delete tables. I can redesign my tables. And they talk about primary keys, etc. at the end here. Talk about the relationships, and we'll we'll do that more as we go hands-on. In the second chapter, we'll deal with database table relationships. So that's it for the AC1 project. Let's see if we can get started on the AC72, the On Your Own project.
Should we submit the AC1?
Yeah, the AC1, if we've gotten this far, what you should do is, if you go back to your database, you should have 2 tables, book rep, double click on it, it should look like that. Should have 4 book reps. When I grade it, I'm also going to check in the properties. If I go to design view, I'm going to see that each book rep has the proper field size. So make sure your field sizes aren't all 255. They should match. They should match the field sizes in as the book requested. Same thing for customer table. If I look at that, I should see, if I click on the column, I can see the fields. I can see the field size there. Or I can also go to design view and see the properties of the field size there. So I'll be checking that you've set your field lengths properly as requested in the book. And then you'll have at least I think we had at least the one query that we did a customer query.
The one we did with the wizard.
Yeah.
And then
The one looking for 53.
my one with the wizard looks like, or at least I think it looks weird, but my one with the design it's like it repeated the information. I don't know.
Oh, you probably showed multiple tables. Go to design view of that query, click on the triangle, and delete all except one of the customer tables. Just right click on it, remove table, and then that'll fix that problem. When we get to more queries in the next chapter, that'll be clear. All right?
Otherwise, both those queries should have
Yep.
the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Then so you have that, and you'll have your customer form. You should have a form and a report with the simple create the form and create the report wizard. And once you have those, that AC1 is done. Now, let's see what they have for us to do in AC72. I'm going to close this database. And I'm going to go to page AC72. And we want to create this Mums Landscaping database. I have given you the data, I believe, in the workbook. So we're going to open, yeah, we have an Excel workbook. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you the easy way to do this. Let's go take, first of all, find that workbook, and then we'll see what we have. So I'm going to go to the eLearn page and find that workbook assignment. I don't remember if I put it in the assignment or in the link at the resources at the top. Let's check if in this. Let's check the resources. So student data files, AC Chapter 1, and we're looking for Mums. There we go. Mums Landscaping. So the Mums Landscaping, we're going to open that in Excel. And the plan is we're going to import this data from Excel. But first, just let's look at it. I'm going to go ahead and open with Excel and do a save as out of Excel. So I'm going to open it in Excel, look at the data, and then I'm going to do a save as so I know where to find it when I go to import it. So I'm going to enable editing, and now I'm going to enlarge this so you can see what's going on in this table. Let's look at the data. We have customers with customer numbers, names, addresses, zip codes, phone numbers. So very much like what we're doing. We have their balance, and we have a supervisor number. That's going to be a very important column. I'm just going to highlight that just so you see that supervisor number. Now it lists the different supervisors for each customer. So guess what tables we're going to have in this Mums Landscaping database? We're going to have a customer number table, or sorry, we're going to have a customer table and a supervisor table. So that's the first thing. By just looking at the data, we need to recognize, and another way to recognize this is, you see how we have the last name of the supervisor listed multiple times, that is a bad thing. That's redundancy. What if Elena changed her address? We have to change it in all these different places. So we're going to create a separate supervisor table and only get the specific supervisors. Now I'm going to do this in an easy way for you. What I'm going to do is in the Excel file, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, we're going to import this information into one table, and we're going to import this information into another table, and see how we're going to have supervisor name in both tables. But we're going to massage the data first by just getting what goes in one table in one worksheet. So I'm going to select through those and do a Control-C copy, and I'm going to create a separate worksheet in this. I'm going to paste that data, and I'm going to name that worksheet. I'm going to right-click rename, and I call that customer. This I'm going to import into a separate table. Now let's go back to the first page. Let's grab the other part of the data, supervisor number to start date. I'm going to copy and create another worksheet. I'm going to call that worksheet supervisor, pasting the supervisor information and renaming that supervisor, just so it's clear. Now, before I import it, notice how we have the supervisors listed multiple times. I don't want every supervisor listed multiple times. So I'm going to select through just the data, not the column headings. And I'm going to sort the data. Practicing our Excel skills. Now I'm going to get rid of deleting the entire row where there's a repeat of any supervisor. Each supervisor should only be listed once. So I select through the rows and right click, delete, and it deletes that entire row. Select through the rows of the extra Kyles and right click, delete. And select through the extra rows of Rogers, Elena, and delete. It's important that you select through the entire, oh, I accidentally left an extra marks in it. Make sure you delete the entire row by clicking in the gray, or when you import into Access, it gets goofy. So now I have just the 3 supervisors listed in the supervisor worksheet and all the customers listed in the customer worksheet. This makes it a lot easier when I do the imports into Access. Which brings up an important point. If you're dealing with databases in the future, you may have some, like a customer or a employee or checkbook, some production database, and some vendor's going to come and say, we're going to give you a new version of the database, and they'll say, pay us $1,000 for this, and by the way, pay us $10,000 to transfer your data over. Oftentimes, when you're dealing with databases, it's more expensive to manipulate the data than it is to get the database software. So you are learning a little bit here about how to manipulate the data. So we're going to save this now as Mum's database. I'm going to do a Control-S now. Save it to, oh, I have to save it to a new place. So I have to do a Save As. I'm going to save it over to my cs101 folder. And on Friday, we will import that data. So I'm going to save it to my documents. And I'm going to get ready for importing it next time. By manipulating our data a little bit, it's going to make our creating the Mum's database so much easier. We're just simply going to import the data from each of those worksheets into a table. So make sure that saves somewhere where you can get to. If your hard drive is ever going to crash, which it will someday, put it to your jump drive, save it to your Google Docs. Remember, you can upload any of these to Google Docs. You don't even have to have a jump drive. Just upload to Google Docs, go to a different PC, you can download it from Google Docs. Have a great day.
Would it be possible that, like, before the end of the semester, we could, like, maybe allow for some of the other assignments to be reopened, or are we always able to turn in late?
Usually late unless you have a really, really good excuse. They're 0 credit. I might have some makeup assignments.
Oh.